The Grapes of Wrath was, even in those days, a big deal. And there was an interview for, I don't know, there must have been at least 100 kids my age there. I was about 8 years old. And it was what they used to call a cattle call. And I went out, I think I had an agent at that time, Everett Crosby. Bing Crosby's brother was my agent. And he got me an interview with John Ford, who was the director. And in those days, not everybody saw the director. They saw casting people. But when you're 8 years old, you can't really read for anybody. And the director's got to be able to know he can talk to you and you can do what he wants you to do. So all of these kids met John Ford, including me. And I got the job from all of this cattle call. And later, my mother asked him, why out of all those kids did I get the role of Winfield Joad in The Grapes of Wrath? And he said he was the only kid that didn't act like an actor, that he was like a real kid, and I wanted a real kid to be Winfield Joad. That's how I got the job.
This here's a desert. We're right in it. I wish it was day. Tom says if it was day, it'd cut the gizzard right out of you. I seen a picture once, and there was bones everywhere. Man bones? Some, I guess, but mostly cow bones.
I sure would like to see some of them man bones.
I'd never had any acting lessons. I couldn't prepare in those days. My mother would teach me the lines before I could read, but I think by the time I was 8, I think I was reading. I didn't have that much dialogue. And no, I just went in and had a good time. I had the best time on that movie I may have ever had in my life, riding around on top of that truck on Route 66 with Shirley Mills. And we were the two kids, and we had a great time. And everybody was so, Henry Fonda was so nice, and Jane Darwell, the lady who played my mother, was so nice. And John Ford, who had a reputation for being really hard on actors, was great to the two kids, Shirley and me. He used to bring us, he had tea on the set every day at 4 o'clock, and he used to bring the best cookies and the best cakes to the schoolroom when we were in school and give us the preferential treatment. Mr. Ford himself used to bring it into the schoolroom. That's how we got treated by the great John Ford. Maybe the most important thing that happened to me in my early childhood in the film business took place on the set of The Grapes of Wrath. I remember standing in the dark behind the camera during all of the scene where Henry Fonda says goodbye to Jane Darwell when he leaves at the end of the movie. And I remember standing, I write about this in my book that I'm about to publish this year, The Unconscious Actor, Out of Control and Full Command is the title. I hope you buy it, Chris. At any rate, I was standing on the set.
Sit down for a minute.
In this dark set, and it was very quiet on a John Ford set. And Henry Fonda was very quiet in the way he worked with his dialogue, and Jane Darwell too. And I stood there for like 2 days watching them shoot that scene. And I knew I was watching great acting. It was kind of what I aspired to as I got older in the film business. It was so simple and so real and so honest and so truthful and not acted at all. I knew that was the standard that I wanted to shoot for in my career in the movies. So that's where I learned.
Wherever there's a fight so hungry people can eat, I'll be there. Wherever there's a cop beating up a guy, I'll be there. I'll be in the way guys yell when they're mad. I'll be in the way kids laugh when they're hungry and they know supper's ready. And when the people are eating the stuff they raise and living in the houses they build, I'll be there too.
I knew at age 8 years old, and as I write about in the book, I think that was what set for me what great acting would be in the movie business, what great acting is anywhere. And I knew, standing there at 8 years old, it brought tears to my eyes. And as I was writing about it all these years later, it still brings tears to my eyes. It was so moving what those two people were doing. It was like a real mother and a real son saying goodbye forever. It was wonderful. I believe it was the first film put into the Smithsonian Institute. And I remember reading about that and what a classic film it was and how much it had meant socially and politically and economically and dramatically in the United States at the time the book was written and the film was made. And I have always felt great pride that even though I was a child, I was part of that wonderful enterprise. And I've always been proud of it and I always will be.